Hello, hello, hello. I'm Shane Moore, and I'll be your host for the Texas Live for the next 2 hours. We'll be talking about new information on Rh-negative blood, genetics, haplogroups, and spirituality. We'll be talking about how that there's different things that that are uniquely unique about Rh-negative blood and the associated genetics that often go with that blood type. We will also talk about different genes themselves and chromosomes and haplogroups, like I said, different places, areas where the Rh-negative is of highest percentage of the population, and how that relates to spirituality. So we'll take a quick break and allow those listeners who want to join our live chat to do so, and we will also take calls. The number is 903-956-0055. 903-956-0055. For those of you that have questions, that want to share personal experiences, or make comments by phone. One thing that is becoming more and more apparent is that some people that are Rh negative, that have the Rh negative blood type, they are targeted by the powers that be, it seems, and their lives are not the same. Actually, they never have been the same. They've always been harassed or bothered by the authorities, as I said, the powers that be, which is very strange. More and more, I'm beginning to see that here, people that are, it's like they're being picked on, like they're being, picked out and picked on. So, and it's not good at all. Not good at all. But there's a reason for that, I believe, and I will share my theories and with the evidence to back it up. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Suddenly you look like a stranger, a face I knew but I must forgotten. Emotional flicker, you were my everything. We know we could have done it better. Fought for the little things that we wanted. I know it was so good together. Still you had to let go. Oh, I wish that you hadn't pulled the trigger. Shut me down with my bitter heart. My blood is getting thicker. You shut me down with my bitter heart. You swam so deep into my river. Your footsteps lead everywhere I go. I never was a weeper, but I'm still holding on. We know we could got to let go. Oh, I wish that you hadn't pulled the trigger. Shut me down with my bitter heart. My blood is getting thicker. Oh, you shut me down, you shut me down. Oh, I wish that you hadn't pulled the trigger. Shut me down with my bitter heart. My blood is getting thicker. Oh, you shut me down, you shut me down, my bitter heart. Oh, baby, look at me just one more time. Tell me that you don't regret it. I really thought we were fine. Then you shot me down. Oh, I wish that you hadn't pulled the trigger. Shut me down with my bitter heart. My blood is getting thicker. Oh, you shut me down, you shut me down. Oh, I wish that you hadn't pulled the trigger. Shut me down with my bitter heart. My blood is getting thicker. You shut me down. You shut me down with my bitter heart.
And I am back. Hello, Elaine. Hello, Mona. Elaine is alive and kicking. She had surgery today, and so good to see you, Elaine. And Mona, thank you for being here. Sent out the invitations, by the way, so just to make sure. Anyway, yes, talking about the Rh negative blood type, which is rhesus negative, and there's been a lot of different theories that people that have the Rh negative blood type are aliens, and or they're not human. Possibly hybrids or something like that. Oh, okay, you just took a pain pill. Yeah, you may be out in a while. So, but the different theories about that they're of the bloodline of Jesus and Noah, or and they get really far-fetched, really stretch the imagination, but it's when you go through things, when you go through what you have, the information that you have, and you're left with what seems to be outrageous or unbelievable, that's pretty much telling you that that's when that's the only thing left, you have to consider that it's truth. And the truth is I've talked to doctors, I've talked to geneticists, I have read research material. Now, like I said, some of it is just absolutely crazy. And you can tell them, you can tell people that come up with these insane theories and everything. You can see them a mile away. They start out having this preconceived idea or this notion. So all of their research endeavors are compromised because they've started out with an idea or theory that they're seeking to prove. I didn't do that. I just, I didn't have any preconceived agenda. I just wanted to know what the difference was, and lo and behold, it keeps leading me to the same place. And last podcast that we had, I talked about that, and it keeps leading me back to the Genesis 6:4, where it says, "The sons of God saw that the daughters of men, the daughters of Adam, the human women, were fair, and they took of them all of which they chose, and went into them, and bore children with them, and these men became the mighty men, the men of renown, the men of a name." They made a name for themselves. And it wasn't so much that they were physical giants. I kind of have a problem with, people that say, well, the Bible says that, they were, 300, I don't know, L's or something. And that would be like, we were talking Godzilla size, and I just don't see that. I don't think that they were huge. I mean, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, it talks about David and Goliath. It says, Goliath was such and such height, and I think that it would be anywhere from like 11 to 13 feet. I kind of have a problem with that. I think that there was some mistranslation or something, or it didn't get quite translated the right way. But maybe they just wanted to make Goliath bigger. And I just don't see that. I see them more as being very advanced as far as their intelligence, very advanced as far as their knowledge in every area. And in the book of Enoch, it talks about that they taught mankind how to war, how to wage warfare. They taught him the forbidden secrets, astrology, how to read the signs and foretell, the future and things like that. Also taught man supposedly how to work with metal and create armor and weapons of war. Taught women how to wear makeup and to be sexy, And, I imagine that they've been around long enough that they would know all those things. And so it's, like I said, when they came off of the mountain, it's like these guys were like, well, these angels that took on, human form, they came down, and it's like they're these Casanovas. I mean, they've got the knowledge. They know human psychology. I mean, they can't read a person's mind, but they've been around long enough to know what the probability is of how you're going to react to a certain thing, and so it gives them a huge upper hand. And they basically caused a lot of problems, and which is why the Bible says that God, the Creator, the Source, said that He said, "I will not, I will not put up with this." Hey, Patricia, Glad you joined us. Thank you. He said, I will not put up with this. He said, I forget what the actual term is, but that he regretted creating mankind. Well, I've got a problem with that, because when the Bible says that God is almighty, God is all knowing, He's all powerful, He's all present. If He's all knowing, then that wouldn't have caught Him off guard. I mean, He would have known, or it would have known, I don't know, that was going to happen. So that tells me that that I don't know, maybe that Almighty, and please don't misunderstand me. I mean, I don't mean any disrespect or anything, but I mean, you have to agree when it says, God's all knowing, all powerful, all present. Well, if that's so, I mean, truthfully, I'm just laying it out, truthfully, if that's so, then why did He regret creating mankind? If He didn't know, if He knew that they were going to do that, or if He knew that the heart of mankind was going to be evil continually, is what the Bible says. Violence was, all over the world, the earth. But it says that He basically grieved, regretting creating mankind. But when you look at it from a certain perspective, like I am, it wasn't mankind's fault. It was the angels that chose to corrupt the very DNA of mankind. And so after a while, and I don't know how long that it was, but it was from the time of I think Seth to Noah to the flood. I think it was God said in Genesis 6:4, He said, I will not put up with this forever. Man's days shall be 120 years. So maybe that's the time frame we're looking at. Okay, and then the flood hit, and supposedly, what the Bible says is that it killed every living thing. Everything that crept on the ground, or in the air, it killed them, everything. But when you look at it, the reason the flood was sent, the reason that event happened was, to cleanse the earth, basically to hit the reset button, reset the whole program. If you want to look at it like that. Alt, Control, Delete, and just reset everything. But if every living thing died, then where does the Rephaim and the sons of Anak, the Anakim, where does Goliath come from? These giants, they were not human. I mean, they were something else. So where did they come from if every living thing was destroyed in the flood. Well, I have no idea, but what that tells me is that everything was not killed, did not die in the flood, that somehow, some way, that these this species or this bloodline or this creation, whatever it is, that they went underground. It said in a lot of different writings, including the Tibetans. Let's see, what are they called? Those. Anyway, the ones that are up in the mountains, they there's writings there about snake people that that live underground, and there are some places that are adjoined, and they're huge. I mean, there's like huge major cities that can hold or could house or whatever, like thousands and thousands of people. This is all underground. It's like it has been it's been dug out of the rock. The rock has been somehow, I don't know, it's certainly not something that you would see in not even in modern technological wonders. I mean, it's almost like the rock has been melted, and at a very high rate. And then you think about there's places like that in Turkey. There's places like that in Bosnia, Croatia, Russia, and probably a lot more. Patricia, you say, well, it's even more strange since a lot of the historical texts have said that humans were a lot shorter back then. Absolutely right. And that's something too, is that the Bible, when it talks about David versus Goliath. Well, when it says Goliath was like 13 feet tall or whatever, I think the height back then for a Palestinian man was like 5'4". I mean, just very very short. I mean, not big at all. And then, keep in mind that David was basically, he was like a teenager. I mean, just a boy, shepherd boy, is what it says. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not, putting them down or anything, but I think that during the translation or whatever, that they said, okay, we're going to add a few more, we're going to make Goliath a bit bigger, and so the story will be better. And I don't know, but I just can't see, can't see that size. Now it's been said that Charlemagne, which every president of the United States has can trace their bloodline back to Charlemagne, who was, they say that he was 8 feet tall. I don't know because I wasn't there, but that's big. I mean, and I'm gonna check this really quick. But yeah, 8 feet tall. Okay, Charlemagne. Okay. Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, numbered Charles the First, was king of the Franks from 768, king of the Lombards from 774, and Holy Roman Emperor from 800. He was born April 2nd, 742 A.D. in Francia, and died January 28th, 814 A.D. in Germany. Let's see. Well, and he's also known as Karl the Great, but it's very interesting that every U.S. president, Trisha, you say, damn, I'm still shorter than they were. You are a shorty, aren't you? Charlemagne's height in feet. Okay, it says he was says that he was somewhere between 5'10" and 6'4". That's a lot. That's a big difference in what's commonly been said about him. And he was 8 foot tall. 8 feet tall. According to other research, a typical male in that period stood about 5 feet 6 inches tall. There you go. That's what I'm saying about Goliath. That's what I believe is that story was just, they added more to it, in my opinion, to make the story better. But, yeah. Charlemagne says was not 8 feet tall. He was, again, 5'10", between 5'10" and 6'4". And then Charlemagne, let's see. Okay, here we go. Charlemagne is said to have Rh-negative blood type, and that every U.S. president can trace their lineage back to Charlemagne, or Karl the Great, Charles the First. This guy was really powerful. And it's called the rhesus factor, but it's also called the royal factor because it seems like that there's so many people in power that have it, like the Queen Elizabeth, Charles, William. I mean, they've all, they're all Rh negative. But one thing that I found is that not only can they trace their lineage back to Charlemagne, but they can trace their lineage back to King John. So it's like people that it's like they don't, in my opinion, they don't win elections. In my opinion, the election, when you vote, that's just that's deception. That's making you think that you have a say, that your vote counts. Yeah. I don't see that. I see that they know who they're going to put in office a long time before it's time to vote. And come hell or high water, that person is going to be put in office, and it does not matter, it doesn't matter if the votes are counted and they're losing, they'll just, they'll turn the tide somehow, some way. And it says, according to research, every president from George Washington to Barack Obama is a descendant of King John. Okay, with the sole exception of Martin Van Buren, which is very strange because the small, village in southwestern France that figures pretty prominently in this, Rennes-le-Chateau. Martin Van Buren, past president, his granddaughter or great-granddaughter actually lived in that small village, and Elizabeth Van Buren. And for him to be the sole exception out of every president, that's just that kind of blows my mind. I mean, that's wow. Anyway, let's see. Talks about King John of England and how U.S. presidents descend from King John of England. Well, you probably do too. So that may not be such a big deal, but it says this was recently hailed as a remarkable discovery made by a 12-year-old Californian genealogist that 42 out of 43 U.S. presidents have King John of England as a common ancestor. And he ruled from 1199 to 1216 A.D. Anyway, this is nicknamed Lackland by his father Henry II, who thought he would never inherit substantial lands. He is renowned for being forced to sign the Magna Carta in 1215, which limited the monarch's power by law, and for losing the crown jewels in the wash, whatever that. But by focusing on both male and female family lines, Bridge-Ann traced an ancestral link to him that all U.S. presidents, bar one, with the exception of Martin Van Buren, but it says the most remarkable aspect of the story would be if Van Buren wasn't descended from King John as well. Okay. I think that's what they just said. That all U.S. presidents share an ancestral link to him, except Martin Van Buren. Okay. Boasting royal blood isn't about being born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Even some U.S. presidents, such as Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, had humble backgrounds. But it's about mathematical probability. Andrew Millard of the University of Durham calculated the probability that anyone with Anglo-Saxon ancestry descends from King Edward III, 1312 to 1377, to be as high as 99.99%. So, yeah, but I think it's pretty telling that they all have had Rh negative blood, which just accounts for like 12 to 15% of the population, maybe 20. But anyway. So, and that's not even taking into account the royal family, in England. But okay. Let's see. Let me get my notes here. The one thing about the blood, the Rh negative, is that the Merovingian dynasty royalty were said to have Rh negative blood. It says the Merovingian royals are a popular talking point. A lot of things up on the net, some have truth, though remember it as it is hidden in allegory. Exactly right. Sea monsters. Just think about it. And that's what I put, as the description here for this show, is that, yeah, I think it's been hidden in plain sight, but it's been hidden in language, veiled language, metaphorical terms, allegories, parables, if you will. It says, when researching royalty, especially in modern times, you're researching for those who were put up as leaders by the real spiritual royalty, those who have the bloodline that has been kept pure and the knowledge passed down through generations of their families. They can trace their lines back to Aaron, to the Aaronic priesthood. Aaron was the brother of Moses, and much farther back. The royals of old were spiritual royalty. Then the Roman Catholic Church was set up by those who were not of the bloodline, and they used their power to enthrone kings and queens who would be compliant to their wishes and their greed, lust for power and land. If one of the royal heads didn't do as they wanted, they would poison them or remove them in some other way. The royals were given their power by the priests and still do to this day. I believe that. Okay, Patricia, you say, but what evidence is there of all this is true about the genetic link of presidents and all? I'm just passing on the information that I have that I've read. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying that that's what sources say over and over, and no one says no. It was there's these that were Rh positive or this and that. No, it seems to be that nobody's disputing the fact that they all have been Rh negative. I don't know. I would say, search for yourself and see if you find anything different. And but just don't accept it because I'm saying. No, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. I mean, that's what I've said. Question everything. Absolutely. Doesn't bother me at all. But I've said don't believe what I say just because I say it. Because believe it or not, I have been known to make mistakes. So I'm not infallible. I'm not the Pope. Ha ha ha. Anyway, that's and by the way, Patricia, you're going to pay for that. I'm kidding. Oh man. Yeah. Do never question me, Patricia. Never go against the family. Anyway. No, question everything. Okay. But that sounds absolutely, that sounds like 100% truth, because history has shown that very thing happened. The Roman Catholic Church, oh man, yeah. Can you say Inquisition? Can you say the Crusades? I mean, God, you talk about, they have slaughtered more men, women, and children, innocent people, than any other organization, group on the face of the planet. And what's sad is that they've done it all in the name of God. I mean, and that's wrong. I mean, that's wrong. I don't care how you say, well, that's where we get our Bible from, and I don't care. It's still wrong. And this notion about the Pope being infallible, that he cannot make a mistake when he's speaking, he's the mouthpiece of God. Really? No, he can be wrong. And he is wrong a lot of the time. So, that's a bunch of bull. I don't buy that for 1 second. And, people that kiss his ring and bow down to him when he, no, I'm not doing it. I wouldn't do it. Not the current pope and not any other pope. They're just a man. The royals were given their power by the priest and still do to this day. It's like when back in the day, back in like the 1600s or whatever, there was a Cardinal Mazarin, I believe. No, it wasn't Mazarin, but very, very powerful cardinal. And he basically controlled the king of France. He controlled a lot, and from the Vatican, and just extremely powerful. It says, so if you're searching for true spiritual royalty, look to the Gnostics, the bishops, are the ones carrying the secret spiritual teachings. Now, that's what I talked about last podcast. This is just confirming what I said. That's what the mitre is, a crown. They have had to hide because the Roman Catholic Church was determined to wipe them all out and force everyone to go through their church for spiritual teachings. The Roman Catholic Church still dress in robes and ceremonial wear of the priest of Aaron, who in turn got their robes from the goddess, and all the clothing, symbols, and sacraments have hidden meanings. They put right in your faces without you even knowing the hidden truth. It says the Roman Catholic Church is purposely withholding these teachings from you. The spiritual royalty can be traced through DNA and blood types. O Rh negative is the most pure blood type, and Y DNA lines are haplogroups J and I. Mitochondrial DNA haplogroup H. These lines can be traced back through Pictist royalty, Merovingians, Cohen priest, and Egyptian royalty. So, there's so much more, but know this: you have been lied to, you've been programmed. Some people don't want to know the truth because it isn't easy to break through all the lies and false ego programmed into us since the day we were born, but it is possible. Slowly the teachings have been released all over the world in many forms most through allegory. Many set up as new teachings when really they are very ancient. Some are made plain and easy for anyone seeking to understand, but not fully, as science as of yet cannot explain these things. Not in this cycle. Those of the bloodline can, and slowly release more and more of these teachings. Now what he said, what this person says is, not in this cycle, which I said last podcast, that I didn't, I don't believe that the creation of Adam and Eve was the first time, was the beginning. I think it was a beginning. I don't think it was the beginning. And I said something about cycles, circuits, and this person says, not in this cycle. The teachings had to be kept hidden to survive. Look what happened to the Templars and the Cathars. Look at how many lies have been told about them since. History is always made by those who win. They can demonize anyone they want to and call a saint anyone they want to. I agree with that. The real spiritual work for you only truly starts when you are initiated into the mysteries. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but we'll just go along. However, you are the only one who can lead yourself to the truth. Okay, that's it. That's true. And the first step to that is realizing that everything we've been told about history is a lie. Our origins, religions, traditions. You have to allow yourself to put aside everything you already think you know and let go of the false ego. And when you finally do, mean it. Your higher self will start to guide you to truth. Well, I believe that. Right. He says, well, obviously he doesn't share my view that this is the last cycle. Which I think it is. They have been, geologists, scientists that have said that there have been 5 previous planetary killers, planetary wipeouts or whatever, and like the huge asteroid or whatever it was that hit the planet in the Yucatan Peninsula, creating the Gulf of Mexico, that killed the dinosaurs off and everything else. Because it's very strange that we have dinosaur bones. We have, the remnants of, skeletons and things that, they were here. But yet the Bible doesn't talk about dinosaurs. It doesn't mention them. Not at all. And if they were here, here on Earth at the time Adam and Eve were here, I would think that, there'd be some mention of them anyway. Somewhere. But you can't, it's not there. So I kind of have a problem with that. But anyway, the spiritual royalty. It goes back to Egyptian royalty. And I'll talk about that in just a second. Patricia, you said, my boyfriend's a bit of a history buff and has told me that the real bits of history and his intuition is crazier than mine. Maybe I should invite him to the group or these podcasts. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be good. But this guy's right. As far as history's always written by the victors, not by the victims. It's like, they paint, they paint everything as being wholesome and pure, and we just had to, kill everyone, when the truth is they didn't. They didn't have to kill everyone. It's like in the in France with the Catholic Church going after the Jesus half brothers and their families. It was called the Desponsi, and the Catholic Church was going after anyone of that bloodline, anyone of that family, because they viewed that as being a threat to Rome's power, over the earth. And when I say they went after that bloodline, they went after the Cathars too in southwest, in southern Spain. Southern France, and I'm talking, it was horrible. It was very, very horrible. And there was one place where where the where someone asked, one of the soldiers asked, how will we know the Muslim from the Christian? And his orders were, kill them all. God knows his own. And that's what they did. They killed, it wasn't just Muslims they killed. They killed both Muslims and Christians. They killed everybody. God will know his own. God knows his own. So they slaughtered everybody. You should read about if you can stomach it. Because they didn't only kill them. Slaughter them. They tortured them. Horrible. You want to talk about something from hell? That's it. It says, all over the internet, many sites claim that Ramses II had B-negative blood. They do this without any kind of proof and merely copied and pasted from someone else's mistranslation. Yeah. It has since been copied and pasted onto hundreds of blogs. This article is to put this myth to bed once and for all. Seeing as Ramses II is a direct line back to my own family, it shocked and annoyed me to find people making the claims that Ramses had B-type blood, as this is the blood of Homo erectus lines, not our Neanderthal lines, which are O-negative. So I did my own research and found the source of this disinformation. Now, what he's saying is might have some truth to it. The Neanderthal supposedly died out, a long time ago. Neanderthal was not the same species as Homo erectus or Homo sapiens. Not the same species. Different. And Neanderthal had the red hair gene, which is it's the MC1R. It's the melanocortin 1 receptor. That's the red hair gene. They had that. And they also had the HLA B27 blue eye gene. Now there's different genes. The green eye gene is OCA2, and the green eye gene is the most rare, but the Neanderthals had blue eye gene. Again, HLA B27. Now, this is what's really, really, telling about this is I was talking about how the feast day of Mary Magdalene in the Catholic Church, and in this little village in southwestern France, was July 22nd. Patricia, you say, wait, if red hair, blue eyes, and green eyes are still prominent today, but Neanderthals died out, I'm confused. Okay, well, I will explain that in just a second. Let me talk about this. This B27, B27, blue eye gene. Okay, when you look at that, what is the second letter in our alphabet? B. So you could take B27, like B27, and have it actually say 227. Hold on. Okay. Wow, I just cannot get this right. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, man. This is so frustrating. B27 equals 227. Okay. Finally. Okay. B27 equals 227. Okay. Well, the feast day of Mary Magdalene, that's very important to all this, leading back to the arch negative blood, spirituality, and her feast day, July 22nd. What do you have there? You have 22-7, or if you read it backwards, it's 722. That's her feast day. So that's how these things are hidden in plain sight. Like 1 for A, 2 for B, 3 for C, and they can have different letters for different numbers, type of gematria or cipher. But this is very important because 22 divided by 7 equals 3.14, which is pi, which is probably the most important, powerful number that has ever been known. Pi and phi. Phi being the divine ratio, the golden ratio, God's ratio. God's ratio. There you go. Divine ratio, the heavenly ratio, the heavenly number. Wow. So it all goes back to, it all keeps going back to numbers, hidden equations, sacred geometry, and again, sacred geometry. It's very, very powerful. There's different sites that are very well known. They're mentioned in the Bible, and there's one, and I can't think of the name of it. I probably will before the show's over, but the mileage or the kilometers from this very important place. It's like megalithic. I'm not sure if it's Stonehenge or what. To this other place that is mentioned in the Bible is exactly 3,114 miles or kilometers away, which is pi. 3.141516, whatever. So what is that? What is that saying? I mean, it's saying that this is it's not coincidence. That I don't know. There's a guiding hand. There's a creation. There's a plan, and that's really it's really something. Makes you stop and think. Those of you listening that haven't joined the chat, there's the book The Code by Carl Monk. M-U-N-C-K. That's M-U-N-C-K. Carl Monk. And, man, you want to talk about interesting. This guy, started measuring distances between megalithic ruins and different places of knowledge and power, spiritual places, and talked about in different text and everything. And he came up with that when you measured it with the English mile, or whatever it is, 5,280 feet, it didn't really add up, But when you measured it by the nautical mile on land, it did, and it really it's shocking. I mean, you're like, wow, this is crazy. Let's see. Okay. It's okay. Right. Well, I was trying to find the mileage, and I just can't find it for some reason. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, but the there's another there's another gene that that has to do with the blood type, that is called the CCR5 delta 32 gene. It's the delta 32 allele, and it's on it actually the people that have it, it gives them immunity to HIV, believe it or not. The CCR5 delta 32, look it up. CCR5 delta 32 and HIV immunity. And that comes with the Rh negative blood type, and it's just one of the things that that was deleted, or in those with Rh positive blood, but some with Rh negative blood, they have the delta 32. No, I didn't. Well, wait. let's see, armed with truth. I got. Oh yeah. I just now got it. Just now, which is pretty. That's synchronicity at work because I just said that when you sent that. It was like our minds were working together. Now that was fun. Let's do that again. Woo, man. Woof. Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you tuned in. You tuned in to more than the show. You tuned into my mind. Woo, we're gonna have a lot of fun now. It says, a theory is that they are tracking Rh negative people with a complete deletion of the RHD gene and or possess the CCR5 delta 32 gene. Yeah, that's right. I wonder why, they're are probably trying to, round us up so they can do all these tests on us and everything to try to, cure HIV that they have or something, that they, I don't know. I mean, but it's like, yeah, I'm not going to go for any testing on myself, really. I don't know. Forget that. It's like, I'm sorry, but it's like, what's in it for me? Because, I mean, really? I mean, they've, I just don't trust them. Not at all. But it says, AB negative is the rarest blood type. At 1%, B negative is at 2%, AB positive is 3% of the population, A negative is 6%, O negative is 7%, B positive is 9%, A positive is 34%, and O positive is 38%. Thank you for that. Well, it could be. It could be. She says, yes, non-consensually, I believe it is an effort to create their perfect human race, the 2030 agenda. Yeah, it could be. Now they're talking, I read something about, now they're talking about a 2045 agenda. So I'm thinking that they're meeting with some resistance and they're like, okay, why don't we just say 2045 and we'll try to wrap this up at 2030 and make ourselves look good, Like, hey, whatever works, knock yourself out. But you're not going to make it. I just got news for you. You're not going to make it. Because the reason that they're not going to make it is because they don't make it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Well, no wonder my favorite number was 6 for the longest time. 6. Okay. Well, that's better than 666. I mean, yeah, it's like there's this meme that I made. It says, when you look at your clock and it says 666, it's going to be a bad day. When you wake up and look at your clock and it's like 666 because it's not even a time. So, yeah, you have just entered the Twilight Hell Zone. Anyway, the 2045 Avatar Project, combining the human brain with robots. Yeah, that's what I was talking about the other night about Neuralink, and but that's Elon Musk. I think he's one of the good guys. I mean, I like him, but he said that he was doing it for that very reason. So we, Patricia, the devil. Yeah. I bet you can be a little devil. And I would not want to see you ticked off. Probably be like, ooh. There will be blood, But it says you said the 2045 Avatar project combining transhumanism, singularity, or whatever. Well, that he was talking about Neuralink and Neuralace, which is the product of Neuralink, and it's putting these this looks like a clear shower cap or something on your skull or your head, and it has these nodes that kind of lay on your skull, your head, and it helps. It allows you to interact with computers and with digital. Anything, with your car or whatever. I think, but to where you just wear this and you don't have to. But I think he's doing it because there are people like over in Switzerland that they've taken the chip, the implanted chip in their hand, to do all this with. And he's like, no, you don't have to do that with this product. But Patricia, you say you might want to make sure things are fireproof. Probably hide any possible weapons from me. Yeah. Yeah, fire starter. But yeah, I mean that's big time. That's big time scary. Well, I mean it's not scary, but it's just like people, like put a chip in my hand. It's like, dude, you don't even know what that is. I mean, really? And it's like, man, they're like, well, it helps me to unlock my door at home in my car. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, unlocking it with a key is just so difficult. Pressing a button is just really, really, that's hard work, isn't it? I mean, good grief. You kidding me? Oh, Elaine, you say, today I was asked at the hospital for my records to be linked to the network. Yeah. It's all digital now. Well, yeah, they probably do, but they have it there. HIPAA, the HIPAA law keeps records there in the doctor's office. But that's right, digital data, whatever. Yeah, it's all digital now. Every prescription, everything that is written or that used to be in your file, it's all digital now. And all they have to do is upload that to a cloud or a network, and it's there. And it's there forever. To where used to, it'd be 7 years, and they could destroy your files or whatever. Not that they would, but after 7 years, if they ran out of space, they destroy the files. Now, that's there forever. As far as forever as we define it, yeah, it's going to be there forever. And I mean, think about that. I mean, and two, this is something else. Is those of you listening to the rebroadcast, those of you listening right now that aren't taking part in the chat, do not. I'm telling you. I'm just, in my opinion. Well, I'm saying don't do it. Don't fall for the lie about your genetic test, genetic testing. That is BS. That is a ploy to get your DNA. And, whoa. I mean, we're talking the most powerful, thing that you have, physically, in your body, maybe even spiritually, I don't know, on every level, is your DNA. And they get that. They can actually, this, it sounds insane, but, a lot of things do. This sounds insane, but Anonymous said, I think this was like the 9th, January or whatever, maybe last month, Anonymous said they are weaponizing your DNA. They are weaponizing your DNA because it is so powerful. And they said if you only knew how to unlock what they call junk DNA because they don't understand it, yes, Ancestry.com, yeah, it's a ploy. And it is Ancestry and, there are companies, there are agencies that they're using Ancestry as a front to gain everybody's, DNA, which would be the perfect classification system. That would classify everybody. Yeah, 23andMe, yeah. Show and tell, let's go to hell. I mean, yeah. 23andMe, no. But yes. And things like Ancestry, this 23andMe, heard horror stories, and it seems like that there's certain agencies that have bought, these groups. What did Hitler do? World War II. Before that, he had people. He took, I believe it was blood samples from everybody, and this was before they even knew about the blood types. But there was some way, something that the Nazis did. They placed people in categories. I don't know what the categories were, but it's been said that a large percentage of the Holocaust victims were Rh negative. Now go figure, because on one hand they say, well, every U.S. president, the royalty, the royal bloodline is, Rh negative, and then you've got, Hitler, that would most likely be working hand in hand with these, he would be a power that would be, he would be, I think he would be working in collusion with them, but it's like, no, he just goes bonkers and says, hey, I'm going to kill him, Why? I don't know. I have no idea. But, what are your thoughts on that? Was Hitler just a madman, or was he a genius? Did he have, really, really ask yourself, why would somebody do what he did? Thank you, Elaine. God, there she is after surgery, and here she is kicking ass on the Texases. Man. With one leg, kicking ass. And that's what everybody needs to do. Is always have a kind heart, always be kind, but be a spiritual badass. Sometimes sometimes you have to kick a little ass, to be honest with you. You have to keep people in line. I mean, you have to remind them that, and I'm kidding. I'm actually not. I mean, sometimes you don't have to get physical. I guess sometimes you might. But, sometimes you have to be as hard as nails, like I said. And other times, as understanding as you can be. But it's like, Solomon says there's a time for peace, there's a time for war. And okay, you say they want arch negatives to be used to their advantage for evil, but we have a choice. One thing that I have found with a few, and this not been many, but there's been a few times where I have been in public, like a store or just out, and have seen or felt like somebody was staring at me, was looking at me. Really creepy. And I look up, and there's like somebody that really is, like a really, somebody that's trying to, I don't know, I guess with their gaze or something, intimidate me. And it's like, this is going to be fun. Because one of our eyes are going to rot out before I turn. And it's not going to be mine. And so, like, lock eyes with this, with these people, men. And it's like, they're looking at me right in my eye. I'm looking at them right in their eyes, or eye. And I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot going on here. I mean, we're not just looking at each other. There's a lot going on, I guess you could say, in the spiritual realm, because I could feel it. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's like literal battle, And keep in mind, you have two men, you have two male anything, when they make eye contact with each other. And that's pretty much a declaration of, hey, let's dance. And not mean dancing. And it's, so it's happened like 2 or 3 times. And I have, kept my eyes on them. And they've always turned away after a while. But it's pretty creepy. Now, I'm not sure if anybody else has had that happen, but yeah, it's like somebody that's just standing, almost like they're, I don't know, like they're goofy, or, it's like, do they even know where they're at? What are they doing just standing there looking at me? And they're not looking at anybody else. They're looking at me like they know me. It's like, whoa. It's like, good God, if this guy handed me some roses, I think wouldn't be surprised the way he's looking at me. It's like, good grief. Looks like he just got through eating a family alive, It's like, gosh, don't get near me, man. Of course, I'm acting like that I'm, not moved by it, because I don't want to let them see me sweat, but I'm like, oh my God, please. I do not want to, my idea of a good evening is not going toe to toe with like Hannibal Lecter, it's like, good grief. Give me a claw hammer, yeah, I'll be fine. But it's like, I really don't want to do this, but I will if I have to, but I really don't want to. Anyway, so as far as Egypt, it says that it's talking about the Neanderthal lines, which are O negative. Okay. So this person says, so I did my own research and found the source of this disinformation. The study on the mummy of Ramses II was done by French scientists in 1985 who studied their results in a paper. And it's in French, so um, contribution to science of Egyptian um, mummy Ramses II. The results showed that Ramses II of Egypt had red hair and was HLA B27, which is which has the is the blue eye gene, and it says HLA B27 causes ankylosing spondylitis, and that's a joint. That's a joint where your joints swell up, where the vertebrae in your back swell up and hurt. Your neck hurts. Your knees hurt. It's a very. It's called AS for short. AS, and wait, ankylosing. I think ankylosing spondylitis. I think that's how. I cannot pronounce that. Psoriasis, arthritis, and many other autoimmune diseases is common with people who have O negative blood, but we have the or that are Rh negative, but we have the delta 32 gene. Some of us, most of us that are Rh negative, that gives us immunity from HIV of all things. Now, the question is HIV first appeared in like 1900 in being passed from monkeys to humans during Bush wars and things that in Africa, different things, and someone got infected by HIV there from monkeys. Okay, so from like 1900 till now, it's been like 120 years. Oh. Anyway, the people that say, well, that's a mutation, or that's something that's just a mutation, it's a blood mutation or it's a genetic mutation. Hold on just a second. I've got something in my eye. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Got that, man. Whew. Okay, and they were talking about that, and they said that it would take like tens of thousands of years for I said I had something in my eye. Oh yeah, ha ha. Oh my gosh. You're so funny. Oh, I'm going to get you for that. Oh, man. Okay. I cannot believe you, Elaine. You're sitting there you're sitting there, you just had surgery, you're on painkillers and everything, and you're like, oh, I'm going to play with the devil, and I'm going to... That was good, really good. I let my guard down. I thought, well, she's laid up with her surgery and everything, but and then you attacked me. So anyway, that's good. Yeah, you're on happy drugs. Yep. I figured you'd probably do something like that. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of waiting on it, but I let my guard down. And yeah, man, I'm winking at you. Okay. Man, then I had like an allergy attack. Whew, man, what's going on? Anyway, but they said that the mutation, that if there was a mutation in the blood, that the blood would be the last thing that would mutate, because if your blood changes one bit, I mean, from like in type or in its pH balance, which is very important. Like if your pH balance changes more than 0.1, if it changes more than that, you're usually dead before you hit the floor or before you hit the ground. And as far as people that before the blood types were known, they would get a blood transfusion and they die, the body go into shock. That's how important it is. And there again, I say the Bible says over and over, do not mix blood. The life is in the blood. And they're talking about, they've talked about, there's been different people that have talked about that when somebody gets not that I'm against organ donation or transfusions. Hey, if you want to do that, be my guest. I mean, really, it's not going to bother me. I'm not going to think you're bad or evil or no. It's your choice. I mean, who am I to say, oh, I mean, you're getting an organ or whatever. Oh, I mean, I'm not in that situation. I'm not going to knock you because you're going to do it or not do it, because I don't know what I would do. But I'm just saying that the Bible says the life is in the blood, and I take that as the DNA. So if you take someone's organ or you take someone's blood into yourself, as your own, you are taking you are taking parts of their very essence. Everything that they've experienced, whether you want to call it genetic memory or whatever, you're taking that into yourself. It's like they're becoming one with you. You're becoming one with them. And that's not a good thing. I mean, because, it's just not. But they said that as far as the Delta 32 gene, that they think that it might have been because of the bubonic plague, the Black Plague. But if that was true, which the bubonic plague was from 1346 to 1352, and then the Great Plague was 1655 to 1656, which, when you put the years, the first one's 6 years, and then you've got 1 year added to that, which is 7 years of plagues. And but they said that from 1346 up till now would just account for 10% of the usual, or it was like 1%, a very, very low amount of time of the usual time that it takes for a mutation, much less a blood mutation, to take place, if there even is such a thing. So they're pretty much scratching their heads about how this came along so fast. And, well, I think because it's not a mutation. It may sound strange, but I don't think that that I don't think AIDS, I don't think HIV is natural. I think it's man-made. I think it's a type of warfare. Okay, you say there's power in the blood, Right, yeah, exactly. Do not elect for organ donation. They will kill you or allow you to die on account of it. Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. I mean, especially if somebody has a certain blood type, like really, really rare, and they can't take anything but their own, and you just happen to be the person that has the same blood type that they do, guess whose eyes and whose, you're going to feel this. You're going to feel their crosshairs on you. See, Elaine, you say, my brother had that special blood. If your blood type is O and you are CMB negative, then you are a babies and kids specialty donor. Because of your CMV negative status, your blood can be transfused to babies, kids, and other immune deficient patients. We encourage you to donate whole blood regularly, knowing that it is going to save the lives of our most vulnerable patients. O-type CMV negative donors are the most desirable babies and kid donors, as this is the most commonly transfused type of whole blood. Yeah. I have RH null. And Elaine, you say, oh, I did receive a graft today, connective tissue. Okay. And then you say futurism.com / Elon Musk. You put the link up. Patricia, you say, I'm honestly not a fan of being a donor. I know it sounds selfish, but something always rubbed me the wrong way. I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to. For that very reason that Arm of Truth said, yeah. I mean, if you have a rare blood type like O negative can donate to everybody, but they can only receive their own type of blood. Well, RH null is RH null, I believe, is a type of O negative, but it has no antigens whatsoever, which is what freaked them out at the fertility clinic that I went to. They're like, whoa, and I'm like, what? Well, you just have a rare blood type. And I said, how rare? And he said, the most rare. And then he starts talking about the antigens and how there were none. And so I can see now why that they were shocked, because it's like right now there's like 43, I would be like 44 known people in the world out of 7 billion people that have the blood type, which that's pretty rare. Don't ask me. I have no idea, but I can remember them saying that if I was ever in an accident, that I would probably not be able to get a transfusion because they wouldn't have it. Anyway, back to Ramses. It says, goes on to say, the blood groups, enzymes, hemoglobins remain the same from birth to death. Beyond death, an examination of the mummy of an Egyptian weaver who lived in the time of Ramses II showed that the blood belonged to the weaver and something, And this doesn't translate very well, but he isn't talking about Ramses II having bee blood. He's talking about the weaver, a servant of his time, having bee blood. So that's, a lot of this you have to really get into it, because just like, they may be talking about a group of people. They might not be talking about a certain individual. But this, it says, spiritual royalty genetics. The following genes are showing that you have a link back to true royalty, the spiritual royalty. I don't know. I have no idea. Melanocortin 1 receptor gene, which is the red hair gene. Blue eye gene, which is HLA B27 antigen. RHD negative blood. And I believe that D antigen is the one that all Rh negative people have, except Rh null, which would be yours truly. So, go figure. I have no idea. The CCR5 delta 32, which gives us HIV immunity. The Y haplogroups, 12B1 and J2, mitochondrial DNA haplogroups H, U, and 12. Now, the haplogroups, you would have to look those up on your own, because it wouldn't make sense of typing them. But you can go to the website, you can do a search, and they'll come up. And I think that you have to answer certain questions, which I would really feel weird doing that, because there's another group that I was told was very ominous, and not to go there, not to get involved. And to be honest with you, I had already been there, and I felt very strange. And that's the RH negative registry. Yeah, I went there and checked them out, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to be a member of this, because I just got the wrong vibe. I just got very, very weird feeling that they were not being truthful about about their intentions for their information that they were seemingly gathering on every person there. And I was told that they didn't have good intentions at all. Matter of fact, they had bad intentions, is what I was told. It says that if you are of spiritual royalty bloodline, you will have the traits of a theololite. Okay, now this is something that I was going to read, these different traits. And I think that it describes a lot of us. Now, it doesn't have to, but it's pretty interesting. So hold on just a second. Okay. It says, what is a theololite? It says, they look like you or me. You could not tell by their looks, but upon looking into their eyes or being in their presence, you would soon recognize them. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to this. I don't know, but it's just pretty interesting, and you'll see why. They aren't like others. They can be seen as secretive and reserved, sometimes even standoffish. However, if you got to know one, you would learn so much from just being in their presence. They are highly spiritual beings who have no need for jealousy, envy, or gossip. They actually find this abhorrent and can't understand why others would want to be like that. When a friend is doing well, they are genuinely pleased for them and most of the time have probably helped them get there without taking any credit. They work selflessly for others, never asking for praise or admiration. And although some might see them as aloof and acting as if they are above others, they don't mean to give that impression. They simply don't know how to act around normal people, as they are far from normal. Do they have any special abilities? They are born with powers of telepathy, remote viewing, psychic, and various other gifts. As children, they grow up believing everyone is like they are, and it can be a real shock to them when they realize that they are the only ones. They are often bullied by others as children, and this quite often continues into adulthood, as others don't tend to trust those who can read them like a book. They can look into your soul and see your true spirit, and although they don't like or agree with many human behaviors, they forgive people for their faults because they realize they don't know what they're doing, or they have a lost connection to their higher self, so are not consciously aware of their actions. And then the question, am I a theololite? Theololites reading this article will instantly recognize themselves. Hey, Nazreen, glad you joined us. Am I a theololite? They'll instantly recognize, reading this article will instantly recognize themselves. Okay, question. Have you always felt like an outsider, no matter which group of people you have tried to fit in with, and find all the backstabbing and bitching so petty? That's what it says. So yes or no or whatever. And then next question. Do you have a few very close friends and find others come and go all the time, but you just don't click with them? Okay. Next question. Do you find jealousy and envy abhorrent and live your life wanting to help others on their own spiritual paths? Okay. Next question. Do you sense the hurt and pain in others so strongly it can be unbearable at times? Okay. Next question. Do you find yourself knowing what others are thinking? All right. When you touch an object or enter a room, do you pick up vibes? Do you find yourself having a strong need to find others like you? Do you want the world to be a better place and can only see it happening if people develop spiritually? If you answered yes to most or all of the questions above, you are most likely a theololite. Patricia, you say, yep, my boyfriend has compared me to Michael Jackson because we're both very private people and reserved. Does that make sense? Well, I can see the private and reserved. I mean, Michael Jackson, well, he was an odd one. I'll just say that. He was different. I'm not going to speak bad of somebody that's deceased, but he was, I don't know. I mean, he had his own problems, but I mean, I probably would too. I mean, if I was in his shoes. So, poor guy. I mean, his dad was, like really, supposedly very abusive and domineering. So, but those, questions that I just asked, I did not write those questions. I found those today in this article, and I thought that describes everybody in the group, that in my Facebook group, our Facebook group, the Spiritual Advancement Society, that describes everybody in the group to a T that takes part and participates. Those friends that have become family that we refer to as framily, that would be you. Um, you know, so how do you describe that? I mean, how do you explain that? What is it that causes us to be so much alike? I mean, that every one of those describe me to a T. Have you always felt like an outsider, no matter which group of people you've tried to fit in with, and find all the backstabbing and bitching so petty? Man, I don't understand. Well, I mean, I said last night, I don't understand Christmas. I don't understand Thanksgiving. I don't understand holidays. It's kind of like, why? And people are like, what? They all look at me like, ew, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And then they're like, well, I ask you first. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. No, I'm kidding. but it's almost like that. It's almost like, man, if you question anything, about the holidays, they'll be like, it's like everybody looks at you like you're the Antichrist or something. They're like, good God, oh, he's here. That's the Antichrist right there. He just said something bad about Christmas, or he said something bad about Thanksgiving, or it's like, I really didn't. I just don't see what the big deal is, about this day. It's like, and then people are like, you're like, well, it's the day Jesus was born. I'm like, nope, couldn't be. Be too cold. Jesus was born probably around Easter. I mean, that's when everybody celebrates that holiday. It's like you've got them backwards, and they're like, "Oh man, we have to kill this guy because he's right." Yeah, kind of got those two mixed up. I think. I'm not saying that he was never born. I'm just saying that, yeah, the date you got him dying be more like, the date that you got him down as being born, because it'd be cold, very cold. Anyway, and that's something else. Is it's there's a lot of what you call pagan worship, or whatever that was put. Well, I mean, it's like the Vatican, the Vatican itself built on the site of Mithra worship. It's like, yeah, that's not an ancient Christian site, because it was before Christianity. But what happened is they would take and build, the Roman Catholic Church would take and build churches, cathedrals, over pagan sites. They would use a pagan foundation, all the while preaching against it. But they would use the foundation for a Christian church. And there's a lot of those. God, in Europe, oh my God. There's so many that it's like people still, call them by, well, for a long time they called them by their pagan names. It's like it's been passed down through history. And, that's not St. Michael, that's not King George, slaying the dragon. That is the dragon, or that's completely swept under the rug, But the reason that they did that is because so many people would go to the pagan sites, and what did the Catholic Church want? They wanted souls to save. To save, quote, quote, unquote. They wanted people to fleece. I'm sorry. They wanted people to milk dry. And so, how do they do that? Well, you go to a pagan site that everyone journeys to, and for one reason or another, and save their souls. But only you're not doing it to save their souls. You're doing it to line your pockets, and that's wrong. And Martin Luther said it was wrong. And he says, here I am suffering like they said I should. And he says, and I go to them. And he says, and they're walking on streets of gold and wearing the best clothes. And he says, and, living in what's, would be, could only be described as heaven itself. He says, well, I'm living in hell. And he said, they're not even doing any work. They're getting drunk. They're, sleeping around. They're telling me to be celibate and live life alone. And he says, and they're out, sleeping with prostitutes. I mean, we're talking about popes too. I mean, it's back, read about it. Also read Fox's Book of Martyrs. Boy, you talk about something that, well, not everybody should read that. I guarantee you it'll keep you up at night. And how cruel the Roman Empire and I believe that it's got some of the Inquisition in there. And it's like, man, they went insane. I mean, they went crazy in their, it's just like, you give some people power and they go overboard. You give some people, you give those same people absolute power and people die. And that's what happened during the Inquisition. It's like, oh, man, you talk about, really, if you're very, very, if you're the least bit sensitive to things like that, don't read anything about that, because there is no mild or there's no medium. It is all very severe. I mean, just god awful. It's horrific what these people went through. And again, what's sad is they did it in the name of God. Preaching the love. They're hacking people to death. It's horrible. Anyway, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be. I'll be right back. I keep saying we. Man. Well, me and my split personalities. I'm kidding. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away.
When you walk in the street alone and nobody can hear
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so, Patricia, you say, when people say not to take God's name in vain, I really wish they meant I really wish they meant the Crusades and all the war in His name. Yeah, yeah, but no, swearing is bad and so much worse. Yeah, well, that's God. God is a title. That's not even a name. And you feel like, God is His name. I'm like, okay, moving on. It's like, that's a title. I mean, really? They're like, well, capital G. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it means the Almighty. I'm like, okay, but it really doesn't, because it depends on who puts that there. You could have third grade Ricky who doesn't know anything about God or spirituality that decides to put a capital G. And he might be drawing, as, I don't know, a cartoon. So, it's like, come on. It's not a name. It's a title. It's a word. It's, swearing is, or, taking His name in vain would be purposefully, knowing, degrading Him, or purposely degrading his or it's, or whatever you want to say, name, like in your it's like you're accusing, or you're bringing a it's like you're insulting a celestial being, namely, the Creator Himself, or itself, to where in His own words, or its own words, or whatever, it says brute beasts. And the book of Jude, it says, but these men revile and speak evil, or speak, ignorance of things that they don't understand, and by so doing, they revile celestial beings. It says, as brute beast, they do these things. It says, but not even the archangel Michael, when disputing with the devil about the body of Moses, dared to bring against him a railing accusation, but said, the Lord rebuke you. And it's like, people they don't like to hear that, because it's like, yeah, their best friend happens to be Michael the Archangel. Yeah, Michael comes to their house and spends the weekend spiritually. And I'm like, oh, God. Oh. It's like, really? Another one? Okay, I've heard that about, let's see, let's just say too much. And they're like, so did you just say that you wanted to die? Yes, after you said what you said about Michael being your best friend? Yes, I do. I mean, I would rather die than to hear somebody else say it, so thank you. I'm kidding. But I mean, it's like, oh, and it's like, they're saying things like, I mean, I would be the last one who would, be prideful of anything. And I'm like, oh my God, you're gone. you're hopeless. I mean, really? I mean, because you're saying that the Archangel Michael, is like, he never leaves your side, so you must be really important. I mean, wow. Let me fall down and worship you. I mean, whew, boy. It's either BO or you got some power coming off you, some spiritual power that's like overwhelming. It's always turned out to be BO, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, there you go, Patricia. And hey, thank you for saying that, because that's, I'm not asking anybody to agree with me or whatever, but when I say something, I'm not going to hold back. And so if that resonates with you, then, accept it. If it doesn't, then reject it. I mean, it's not going to bother me. But, oh, okay. Yeah. That's right. It just, she says, quote, did you just say you want to die? Somebody asking me that. I'm like, yes, I did, because I cannot stand the thought of living and hearing another person tell me what you just did about the Archangel Michael never leaving your side, and you just, you're having tea and cookies with him, and you're hanging out and, flying kites together, and, oh, God, come on. I mean, these people, they're not dumb. They're not gullible. I mean, they're intelligent people, and it's like, why are you doing this? I mean, really? I mean, are you trying to impress me or somebody else with this? Because it's really making you look bad. And I have overlooked it and then, like, ignored it, hoping that it will go away. But you know what? It never does. It's like, it just becomes, they just want you, they just say it more and more and more, because they're wanting to get you to say, wow, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and when they do tell you something like that, the best thing to do is say, well, God, can you introduce me to him? They'll be like, no. No, he's my friend. It's like, well, I don't remember reading that in the Bible. I mean, do you have exclusive rights on him, they probably say, well, actually I adopted him, yeah, that program, Adopt an Angel, I adopted Michael, the Archangel, so he's mine. Stay away from him. Anyway, but this, talking about this, is this theodolite. That sounds a lot like us, in the group. And it says, yeah, really, I didn't realize you called dibs. Yeah, but it says, you can search for clues of your family crest and coats of arms. Search for stars, boars, lions, the fleur-de-lis, snake, bee, reptiles, dragons, mermaid, shells, roses, and various others. Well, you almost named everything in existence. I would say look for boars, the fleur-de-lis, snake, bee. Bee would be a big one. Bee would be a big sign, because that would be Merovingian. That would be the tribe of Dan. Dragons would, of course, kind of well, if it wasn't Oriental, then it might have a meaning, negative, maybe positive, I don't know. Mermaid. Mermaid, well, that goes back to the sea creature, so that might be Merovingian, I don't know. Roses are used for a lot of things. The rose, but boars, fleur-de-lis. Lions are pretty common, but would have to be in association with other things, symbols, symbolism. But what now? Bigfoot, Rosetta Stone. Yes, like or like you hear something that, talking about sub rosa, or under the rose, or Rosicrucian, the Rosy Cross. Their symbol is the cross with the rose over it. Well, sub rosa is what goes on under the rose. It's like what goes on unseen. And then you take the word rose, and that is an anagram for eros. So, there's a lot of symbolism there with the rose. So it can, the rose is very powerful. The boar, it sounds weird because it's a pig. It's a hog, but that can stand for strength. But again, you would have to have like different things, like the bee. The bee, and on the Plantard crest, family crest, that I'm not sure if Pierre Plantard was they say that he was a jokester, that he was a hoaxer. I don't know if he was or not. I really have no idea. But his family crest was two bears, and I think that he had some bees on there. I think 11 bees, and the numbers 11, 17, and 22 are really I don't know, really numbers that just keep reoccurring in this. And this is the 17th of January. Patricia, how does one go about finding their family crest? Really, I guess you could look it up online, but you would have to find out if you wanted your family crest on your mother's side or your father's side, and just take it from there. I know that my dad hired a genealogist to go back, and they took us back to trace us back to Scotland, Glasgow, in the mid 1700s, and it was a grocery store owner by the name of John Moore, Moor, Moor, that, or it was that, or is O'More, I'm not sure which one it was. But anyway, it was like 1742 or something, and he left Glasgow, Scotland, and arrived on the shores of North Carolina, I think, short time later, a month later, something like that, 2 months later, and opened his, eventually opened a grocery store there, or general store, and that's where we came from. So on my dad's side, my mom's side, I really have no idea. My grandmother's maiden name was Morgan. My mom's maiden name is Young. Morgan is Welsh, and Young is Irish, I believe. So anyway, yeah, that's interesting. Yes, Elaine, thank you for that. Heraldry and crests, I've used that. That's you could probably ask your mom or your dad about their family crest if they know about it. They might know something about it as far as like, what the main thing is. Like I think more is three stags heads, 3 deer head. So I mean that's how you find it, because there's a lot of them, and if you kind of have some idea of what you're looking for, it's not so bad. But or it might be fun just to go and look and see if you're just drawn to one, and never know. Yes, hold on. See, Elaine just asked me to spell theodolite, and it is it's pretty okay. Here it is. Okay. Wow, this is. This print on this page is like very small. It's called, the website is called the Temple of Theola. THEOLA.org. And there again, I did a search for Merovingian Rh negative blood type or blood, and this came up, and I thought, oh, that's, okay, I'm going to read it and just, see what and surprisingly, it was like, man, they're pretty spot on. I mean, I'm sending it to Elaine. I'm kind of away from the laptop, and but I anyway, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a very interesting page, and they have some very good information that can be pretty much well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's all like, as far as I can find out. I mean, it's all on the up and up as far as the spiritual, let me see, the spiritual royalty genetics. Now, I don't like that term, spiritual royalty genetics. It's like you're kind of putting yourself above everybody else, and I don't like that at all. But there is something different about that, us, whatever. So I just let's see. I just now got sent something that's something about a non-consensual. I have to blow it up. A non-consensual human experimentation. That's pretty. David was of the tribe of Judah. David, I'm not sure what David means. I think John means beloved of God in Hebrew. I'm not sure though. It might be Greek. So, but you could do like a Google search and it'll pop right up and tell you. I don't want to speak and steer you the wrong way, but whoa, yeah, this right here is United States patent for method of delaying the progression of an infection with the human immunodeficiency virus. Yeah, that's big time. That is not good. But it's like I said, I don't think that that it's something that formed that just occurred naturally. I think it's man-made. I think it's built. I think it's warfare, biological warfare, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Meaning of David in Hebrew means beloved. So yes, you're right. I think the name John means the same thing in Greek. So beloved of God or gift of God, something like that. But anyway, with the haplogroups, most of the largest concentration is in the Basque area, the Basque people in Spain, northern Spain, whatever, and it's a very high percentage, just the highest percentage on Earth. With the Basque people, it's I believe it's 40% or more, and they have a language that they use that has been traced back as far as they can go, and it is not from any other language. It's not based on any other root language, so it's an unknown language. The origins are unknown, and they're still speaking it today. So that's pretty cool. You say apparently I looked up the tribe of Judah. It's the lion, and I may or may not have screamed at its coincidence. Screamed at the coincidence. As screamed as in I'm not following really. Um, let's see. Armatry, you said, I thought someone went on record saying it was man-made. I did. I said that, in my opinion, I think my theory is that it's man-made. It's not something that um, occurs naturally. I feel that AIDS, HIV, was created in a laboratory in nanotechnology or whatever, and that they I think that they okay. You say apparently I looked up the tribe of Judah. It's the lion, and I may or may not have screamed at the coincidence. You say it scared you a bit. What was the coincidence? But the AIDS, HIV, as far as that goes, that's a. I mean, I've always looked at it, as far as when I see it through a microscope or whatever, attacking a T cell, and just the way that it does what it does. It's like it's been programmed to do that. And I'm thinking, it's not like, it's almost like you can see this virus scratching its head going, okay, well, I'm going to try plan B and then plan C. But I'm going to take this T cell over, and it's like, damn, that's pretty spooky. I mean, this thing's like really determined, and I'm thinking that sounds like something from, I don't know, what do they call it, Skunk Works or whatever. You said you just had a strong drawing to the lion tribe, Judah, when we were talking about the 12 tribes. I didn't think much of it at that time, but then this pops up. Well, Jesus is called the Lion of the tribe of Judah, so I think you're in good hands. Satan, or the devil, is called the roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And Jesus is called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Actually, the lamb and the lion. Meek as a lamb, and but also powerful and royal as a lion. So, and then we were talking about spirituality, as far as is that a gene? Is that genetic? And this seems to say that it is. That not just one of these genes, makes you spiritual or whatever. And I suppose that people could have all of these and still not be spiritual, because I don't think that spirituality is necessarily a physical thing at all. I think it transcends the physical. But that's not to say that these genes that I've named, that they're not working in conjunction with each other and magnifying by resonance and increasing the flow. I mean, when you have an electrical circuit cycle, it just grows, it resonates, and the more resonance you have, the more power you have. I mean, and so try to look at your consciousness, your spirituality, your spirit in that way, and how you can resonate, and you know who you resonate who you resonate with. You know who makes you, well, it's like you can't, you don't like to hear them talking, or you just don't like being around them. And then there's people that you like meet, and you're with them the first time, and you just, man, you can't spend enough time with them, you know. And why? Well, it's not because they're so great and everything. It's because they make you feel good about yourself, by, you know, whatever way that is. And of course, you make them feel comfortable. You're comfortable, and there's a resonance there, transference. Well, you're welcome. No problem. This Temple of Theola.org says that if you're interested in learning more, you can find plenty of information in the book, and I've read that book, by the way, Secrets of the Serpent Bloodline. Of the Serpent Bloodline. Okay. Now, when it says Serpent Bloodline, it could be talking about, it could be talking about the wise bloodline or the wisdom bloodline, because Jesus said when you go out among the wolves, said that, don't worry about what you'll take with you. He said, and don't worry about what you will say when you're brought before them to answer questions. He says, with those who will have the power to put you to death. He says, don't worry about what you'll say. He says, for, the Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it, the Creator will speak through you and will know what to say. And so I don't doubt that. But I don't doubt that because I've had it happen before. And it's like, okay, I don't know why I said that. And something like later is like, well, because you didn't. Well, good, because I would think I was going crazy, because I usually choose my words very carefully, and it's like it just came out, boom. But anyway, so but it says here that, and also please join our Facebook group, Grail Children Holy Grail Bloodline. I'd say don't join any group like that, because especially on Facebook, I mean, I was talking about the RH negative registry. So I don't know for sure, but I've been told that they've been bought by certain governmental agencies, and as a form of experimentation, possible DNA extraction. I don't know, but and also this falls in line with gosh, you gave it to me. It's like mine just went blank, but yeah, just blank. Man, that is so weird. It's so weird. I was just talking about something, and then boom, just it's gone. I have no idea what I was talking about. Patricia, can you help me? Can you help me? Tell me what I was talking about, because I was on something, and it just boom, gone. About joining a group on Facebook or something like that. What you have to understand, and I think, yeah, but it did. But it did. Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, don't join any group like that on Facebook because I believe that that Facebook is, I'm not being conspiratorial. I mean, I'm not crazy, but Facebook is owned and is operated by a certain government agency. I mean, that's how they're building information on just about every person that's a part of it. I mean, you yes, but you say devices exist that snatch thoughts mid-sentence, unfortunately. Well, yes, but I exist to chase those devices down and make them wish that they had never been created. I got my thought back, thank you very much. So, we got to show these boys they finally met their match. So, now, watch me, walk outside and there's like, SWAT team, AI, and I've got like helicopters and like, probably, for that comment. So, but anyway, it certainly wouldn't be boring. Yes, but like as far as joining, groups like that on Facebook, like this is Grail Children, Holy Grail Bloodline. You might as well put a target on your forehead and on the back of your head, on your back, saying, kill me, or, use me for target practice, because, really, I mean, it would be bad enough if you joined, like, an RH negative, registry type thing, because it's a rare blood type. So if someone that is elite, or quote unquote elite, or important to politically or something like that, and something happens to them and they happen to be RH negative and you happen to have their blood type, it's just like Arm of Truth said, yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to say, well, we need his heart, and unfortunately he just has one, so looks like he's going to have to go. Yeah. So, I'd say, well, we'll see about that. Yeah. But it says, secrets of the serpent bloodline. Well, Jesus said, when you're brought before the, governors and the rulers that have the power to put you to death, don't worry about what you're going to say. He says, and when you go out, he says, don't take 2 coats, just take one. Don't take 2 staffs, just take one. He says, be as innocent as doves, but as wise as serpents. So in some of this, the serpent may not be necessarily evil. It may be symbolism of wisdom. And by the way, wisdom in Greek is Sophia, which Sophia is the name of the AI robot that was really creepy. Really creepy. It creeped Rhonda out, I think, as much as it did me. It's like, oh. And now they have blood. They have hemo. They have nurses that take blood. I forget what you call them. And but now they have robots that they can do it. they scan like an ultraviolet light on your arm and locate the best vein and go in and take your blood samples, and you never have to see a human. It's like, whoa. What if that thing was to, malfunction and stuff and like rip my arm off or run the needle through my arm? Okay, you say social media has saved me in many ways. Powers that be try to track down and get rid of everything. Social media has served as a backup. Oh, okay, yeah, phlebotomist. Okay, thank you. Yeah, phlebotomist. Thank you. Yeah, now it's all done by, it's all done by a robot. They just shove that needle in that vein. It's like, oh man. I just, I'm not too interested in that. But, not that it would, well, I mean, it would hurt. But, ooh. Yeah, it's like, what if the thing malfunctioned and, I come out looking like Swiss cheese? Weird. Oh, man. Needles. Oof. Yeah. It's like there was this nurse that was taking my blood. It's been years ago. And she kept missing the veins, and she's like really like poking my arm like crazy. I mean, she's like looked like Swiss cheese. And finally, I said, that's enough. I said, we're through. I pulled the deal off my arm and I took the strap off and I got up. She says, we're not through. And I said, yes, we are. And she says, well, you can't do that. And I said, I just did. She says, but we need your, blood for your test. And she said, come on, it didn't hurt that bad. And I said, you sit in the chair and give me the needle. Well, she didn't think that was a very good idea. And I'm like, I'm going to have my arm's going to be black, green, blue, and probably every color of the rainbow. And you're telling me it didn't hurt? I mean, man. And, yeah, give me that needle. We'll see how you like it. You say, was asked today, do you have a reaction to seeing your blood or needles? I said, I'm a mom, I raise boys, so I'm good to go for it. Yeah, really. You say they are developing robots to do just about everything. Yeah, exactly. They were, yeah, right, Patricia. You say you got poked 3 times in the same place because the veins kept disappearing, collapsing. Yeah, that's what mine did about two years ago when this. Well, no, it was about 15 years ago when this happened. Just unexpectedly, just started collapsing, and never had done it before, never has done it since. But you say, has anybody noticed that medical professionals now ask if you live alone? Well, I just see one medical professional. He's been my doctor for 32 years, so pretty close. He doesn't ask me things like that. I mean, he might, but I don't think that's anything that's Yeah, but they are developing robots to do just about everything. There was a news story that they now have AI robots that can read lips better than any human can now. See, Elaine said, a nurse said I was Nicole's sister, your daughter-in-law. I'm sure you said my veins don't disappear; they just keep sticking. Oh man, yeah. That's They ask your marital status. You ask them, why does that matter? What do they say? Because I would like to know what that, you know. That's pretty strange. That they would ask you what your marital status is, unless they were wondering, oh, it's for their records. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Yeah, that's just for our records. Be like, I don't think so. But anyway, well, do you have any questions? Any comments that you want to make? We're close to it. We've got like 10 minutes. And I'm trying to find something here that I'm going to share with you. Oh no, I can't find it. Okay, here's the golden garments of the priesthood of Aaron, which is the Kohen Gadol Shemot. And it talks about how the breastplate, how the priest breastplate, the 9 or the 12 precious stones worked, you know, what it was for, what each stone was for. The breastplate of judgment, the hidden breastplate of judgment, the 2 onyx stones. Each stone has engraved 6 names of the tribe of Israel. It's really, really amazing how this how everything had its purpose, and it may not be what you think it is, but yeah. Oh yeah, you said single. Do you know of a single doctor looking? Let's see. Armor Truth, you said, yeah, Elaine, I've heard that it's to find out who is easier to target, perform experiments on. Funny about single doctors looking. Yeah, it is. That's but that was that was what they did in Germany. Is there was some way, something about the blood, I believe, that they talked people into doing home testing or something, or I have no idea, but it was something about the blood that I read. I don't know if there was any truth to it or not, but you have to you have to admit that there was some way that Hitler and the Third Reich, how they put people into categories, and when they had them all categorized and labeled, then they went to work in a bad way. But that's what happens when you have a system of classifying, each person. And man, your DNA is yours and yours only. Very unique. Well, unique. It's not very unique. And, one of a kind. And with today's technology, there's they have resonance. They can pick up the resonance of your electricity in your body because you vibrate at a certain frequency. It's just like a radio station. I mean, think about, it's not much. I mean, it's, compared to a big, radio station that's on, but it's just like if you turn that dial, you are going over the bandwidth, which ironically is what Elon Musk was talking about, is that's the only thing that is keeping us from singularity right now is the need for bandwidth, the need for room for what? Information. And it's going to be on bandwidth, So when that time comes and there is, that can be done, and that room can be made or whatever that they need, then buckle your seatbelt because it's going to get things are going to happen at a really fast pace, I think. Because at that time, there's not going to be anything left holding them back. It's going to be like a brawl for it all. I mean, it's going to be just boom, boom, boom. And with the 5G network, if you ask me, they're going to have 300,000, at least 300,000 5G boxes or transmitters or whatever built in the U.S. And it's like, are you serious? I mean, well, the 5G network is going to be something different. I mean, it's going to be very, different, strange, weird, whatever. And I think that when CERN goes online, that those 5G boxes, whatever, transformers, whatever you want to call them, I think there's a lot of things, even the appliances and everything, are going to start feeding back a lot more information and data, a lot more information than about when you use them and what you do and what time you use them and, in what manner you use them. I think it's going to be listening to everything we say, possibly recording everything we do. And hell, if they're not already doing that. And I'm not being paranoid. I'm just being, Elaine, you say appliances already do. Yeah. And it's really creepy. It's like, we've been talking about AI. You wouldn't believe how many blatant, just right in your face ads that Elaine has gotten from, that's had like AI robots like dancing, and I mean, it's creepy. So definitely. But now they're talking about that they can build a total cell, out of nothing. They can build a living cell out of nothing that was living before. I guess that's how you should put it. So what's that mean? They can create life? AI, that's right. But I think that it's how we define AI, because what if we, as our bodies, what if we are just, I don't know, what if we're just a machine that what if our body is just a machine? I don't know, could be. If you want to look at it like a flesh machine or something like that, because really it's Solomon's temple was built on the premise of our body being God's throne or God's temple, and so that would be mankind. I mean, it would be like, well, I can see that because Solomon's temple was kind of like a robot or computer. Certain things were done, and had to be done a certain way, and yeah. Oh man, are you kidding? Just announced that doctors can use stem cells to bring back the dead. Ooh. Whoa. Appliances, electronics, devices, your bus pass, your customer loyalty cards, emails, text calls, etc. You say scientificamerican.com, and then Arm of Truth, you say what Snowden was warning about. What was he warning about exactly? I forget. You have to forgive me. There's for the longest time, I did not look up anything that had to do with anything like this because I didn't want the want the heat. What I'm talking about. I did not want them, coming down on me like they did before, or threatening me or bothering me. And then I said, you know what? I cannot not do this, and so that's why that I made a promise to myself in 2016, 2017, and I said, I'm going to, I said, I'm going to speak, and I'm going to talk about it, and we'll talk about what I have learned, through my research, and who knows. There is one thing that I want to share with you real quick before we go. Let's see here. Hold on. It talks about the let's see, spiritual royalty. I got that. Now, there's been some people that have, talked about the RH, negative people being the 144,000 that, that's, talked about in the book of Revelation. I don't necessarily believe that, but, okay. Well, okay. It just talks about the that they're the priesthood of Aaron. They're the Cohen of the Jewish people. Let's see. I saw it earlier. Okay, here it is. It says who were the first shamans? And it shows the priest of Aaron as an ancient shaman. And it says the first shamans appeared in the Tigris Mesopotamian area. These people evolved separately from the other two main species of humans. In old accounts by the other humanoids, they were called the gods, the giants, the watchers, and the Nephilim. They were actually Neanderthals. So I don't see how that the Neanderthals could be giants, though. I mean, they were probably shorter, although stockier, more muscular than the two species of humans. But it goes on to say that there were different changes that took place in the neocortex during human evolution. The hominoid brain tripled in size, and it just goes on to say that that the Neanderthal was a separate species from modern human. Says, okay, what Snowden was warning about. You say the ability to track surveillance. They know our preferences, habits, circle, predictive behaviors. Yes. Okay, thank you, Elaine. Yeah, that's creepy. That is. But okay, well we hit the 3-hour mark, and this will be a next time we have an episode. It should be Friday. Gonna be a lot more, and it's gonna be amazing because this gets into really detailed, DNA and why and places. Some you wouldn't even think would be places where the blood type would be found. But I think it's amazing that they just come out here and they say, matter of factly that, yeah, it was this. It was the Watchers. It was the Nephilim that, caused it. So, anyway, that's how I see it. And it's like I said, when you exhaust every other resource and you just keep coming up with the same thing. You keep winding up at the same place. Well, that's truth. That's, as it doesn't matter if it's hard to accept or whatever. It's truth, and it doesn't lie. That's for sure. But anyway, well, Elaine, get some rest, and everybody else get some rest too. Elaine, heal up, and we're all thinking about you. And just be sure and join us. Join me Friday, or join us as far as the chat Friday, and we'll continue this and have a lot more information on it. And covered quite a bit tonight. But the Delta 32 gene, MC1R receptor gene, red hair gene, and the blue eye gene is, and that's the HLA-B27, Yeah. I think I just figured something out just before we close. Yeah, this B27, the blue eye gene. So, yeah, definitely Friday we will have another show on this, and with some new information, and it just keeps coming in. So it's amazing. Well, thank you for being here, and love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you Friday night.